Happy friends, welcome back to another Stash Bash Take 10. This is going to be still using my July kit. Now I know we're in the month of August, but I still owe you guys 2 more projects. So this is going to be the first one. And I gotta say, I really had a hard time with this. First of all, you see all those scraps on the left? That is all that I have to work with. That is what's left of my original June kit. And I kind of knew going into that when I ended up deciding to bring it over for my July kit, that I was creating a huge challenge. But you know what? I really wanted to create this challenge for myself because for once in my 20 years of scrapbooking, I truly wanted to kill a kit, kill a collection, use it up in its entirety, and I think I delivered just that. So the first thing I did was I pondered several days. What can I do with these scraps? Because as you can see, the scraps are not that large. So what I thought of a stem burst. Now I've seen pattern papers made like this, and I thought, you know what, I can just do it with my own. And so I pondered several days of how can I do this, and I remembered I had a Heidi Swap stencil. I've never used this stencil. And as you can see, there is a line going across the stencil perfectly. So I knew I was only going to have just the third section of that sunburst, and the rest was going to be that red pattern paper you see. At least that's what I thought. Now off camera, when I just couldn't get the feel right, I did go to some beige cardstock. Didn't like that. So as you can see, I'm giving it a thumbs down because at first I only traced just the parts that were traceable on the stencil, and then I felt like there was too much of the red showing, so I go back and then trace the solid piece of the stencil. And this is what I'm getting, and I don't like it. I think it would have looked a lot better had I owned a sewing machine, but I don't. So I then at that point reached out to Shannon and Megan. They really liked it, so they said, keep going, I think it looks good. And I'm like, okay. So I then start working on other stuff. So in order for me to kind of take a break of what I'm struggling with, I tend to work on other things as far as other parts of my layout. Now I just recently cut a tag perfectly on camera. I try to do it again. Yeah, complete fail. At this point, I'm like, I'm gonna have a breakdown because it's already been a week, and that's how long I've been struggling trying to figure out what am I going to do with this layout. So that night I go to bed, and the next day I'm like, wait a minute, I've got an idea. I ended up using white cardstock, which I really was hoping not to use, but I ended up so glad that I did, and that is because it's really gonna make all of those colors pop. When I go back and I looked at all of the stash that I had, or scraps, I noticed I had a lot of branding strips, and my first thought was a quilt. Now I've never sewn a quilt, obviously, if I don't own a sewing machine, but I had so many branding strips, I thought, you know what, I'm already cutting the scraps that were already small to begin with, even smaller, and then a lot of them are funky shapes. Let me see if I can try to salvage what I can from them by trying to create, I'm not concerned about the length of a strip, but at least the width, because I need them to comply or work with the other branding strips. And so once I do that, I start gluing everything down, and I am loving already the results, and I haven't even finished that one row. So here's one of those funky, cuts that I was telling you about, and I'm going to make it work so that way this looks like it was part of a branding strip. So I glue it down, I cut the excess stuff off, and then I'm like, this is it. I'm loving this so much that I want to create a second frame, so like another frame inside itself, and you'll see that here in a minute. Now once I do that, I was thinking, okay, so the sunburst didn't work out. I can't really do much now with what I've already cut. Again, how can I salvage the cuts that I've already made? And a couple months back, we had in the series a scrap lift. We had a sketch, and we also had a scrap lift, and Shannon was the only one that did the scrap lift. I wasn't really feeling it at the time, but I'm going to make how the person spread out the rays, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just adding my own touch, so the only thing I'm actually grabbing or scrap lifting or being inspired by are just the rays on the side of the photo. So next I'm moving on to things that I'm really comfortable with. That definitely takes a lot of stress off me when I use things that I know can't mess this up. And that perfect example is inks. Do some drops. I mean, yes, we can. Let me back up. We can make mistakes on inks, and we've all done it before on photos, huge big drops that we didn't want them to go where they were, where they went. And so I just added a whole bunch of ink splatters, not even caring where they went, because I knew most of it is going to be covered up. Next, I had this one scrapbook piece of paper. Now, most of the papers that you see that are framing it, the layout, is from That's My Boy and A Boy's Life from Echo Park. And then I had 2 scraps of Elle Studios Cameron collection that I did, gosh, a while back, that I just really wanted to use up. In fact, I think that was the very first collection that I used for my series, and all I had was 2 pieces left. So I used one of them, which is the green, to frame the photo. Now, even though the green is a little bit more saturated than the green that's in the Echo Park collection, I'm okay with that because it's all in the same family. And once I got all the rays down, I am loving this look. And I thought, but I just want to add a little something else, and I don't have a sewing machine, so what else can I do? And that is kind of doodling and tracing around those papers, because then it kind of defines each of the pattern paper. Next, I work on my title, and as you guys all know, like I said, I'm just trying to use it all up. And so I grabbed all the stickers. Even when I was missing letters, I just added some from the tile stickers. Then I added some banners up at the top to finish that off. I added a football, an arrow, a tag, as you can see. So I'm just adding embellishments because I don't really have much to work with, because like I said, I don't have much left. So I am loving this. Now, I have to say, most of my layouts are really clean. And yes, this is still kind of the clean look, even though it's super busy. A lot's going on. It still has that clean and organized look, I guess you could say, but I love it because I really wish I was good at layering, and every once in a while I will knock it out of the ballpark and do it, and I'm like, yes, and then I'll try to do it again. I'm like, nope. Total dud, but that's okay because I get super excited when I can layer a whole bunch of stuff. So I just kept adding and adding when, with what worked. I'm going to wave goodbye, but you all know I wave goodbye and then I come back on because I have another aha moment. And that's when I looked at the sticker sheet and I noticed there was still quite a few, like a basketball and a baseball. And even though they're not doing that in the photo, when I think of playground play, that's what you see a lot at the park. So this is my final layout. I absolutely love it. I'm going to show you in the still shots kind of like how this layout progressed and how I definitely persevered. I didn't give up. I kept going until it was where I wanted it to be, and I'm so glad I did because I love the results. So I hope you guys do too. If you are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome. I do hope that you consider subscribing. I would love to have you over here. And just to let you know, I am going back to work. As you guys all know, I work in special ed, so from taking a 6-week break, I definitely, when I go back to work and then the kids go back to school and all the activities happen, it does take me a while to adjust. So we're putting this series on pause. We will come back, but I think we all kind of needed just a little break because we had a lot going on, especially with, like I said, school going back in session for a lot of for our kids. So, but I hope that you enjoyed this series. Be sure to check out Megan and Shannon as well. I know Shannon definitely had posted every Monday, but I will definitely post my final layout showing the last bits of papers used up next week. All right, everybody, you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.